Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Robert Baylor, Director of Communications at NUCA. Welcome to this month's webinar. First, before we begin, some webinar housekeeping. Today's webinar will be recorded, and a copy of the recording will be provided to all registrants and attendees. It will also be made available in the next few days on NUCA's YouTube channel, which can be accessed via nuca.com. Now about your WebEx Meetings webinar screen. There are two buttons in the lower right-hand side of your screen titled Participants and Chat. Clicking on Participants gives you a list of webinar attendees. You can chat amongst each other, or you can send the host questions or messages. All participants are muted upon entry. Phone participants can use *6 to mute themselves. Questions will be asked at the end of the webinar. To ask a question, you can submit a written question at any time using the chat feature, and I will read those written questions to our presenters at the conclusion of their presentation. Now let's get started. This month's NUCA webinar is presented by Memberfy, our partner in the NUCA Advantage benefits program. NUCA Advantage is our association's well-known business benefits package for members. This summer, NUCA significantly expanded the benefits offered to help our members' bottom line and give members more choices. New healthcare options are available today, helping to reduce your employee benefit costs and expand your plan choices. A large amount of new content is now also included in NUCA Advantage at no additional cost to members, such as the learning management system, a compliance calendar, OSHA logs, and much more. On today's presentation, we have Teresa Dixon, Chief Operating Officer of Memberfy, who brings over 25 years of experience in the pharmacy and benefit space, along with Tyler Baltz, Memberfy benefits consultant, both of which are experts in the employee benefits realm. Thanks so much for joining us today on NUCA's Webinar Wednesday. Teresa, I turn the webinar over to you.
Thank you, Bob. And with that, I'm Teresa Dixon. I'd like to get started and take a few minutes to share more about Memberfy. Memberfy was established as a general agency to market insurance solutions, along with other value-added benefits to the NUCA members. Our newest offering to NUCA members is the introduction of our group medical health plan. We are ready to roll out health plan options that will benefit your companies in many ways. These plans will grow your business by adding to your benefits package for current employees, in addition to new job candidates that you may be looking to hire. These plans will help lower your healthcare costs with the various plan options we are making available. We have customized insurance solutions to meet everyone's needs. As the slide shows, these include medical coverage, dental and vision plans, short and long-term disability programs, life insurance, retirement programs such as 401ks, accident plans, and much more. How is Memberfy different? No applications, no individual medical questionnaires to get the process started. We're perfect for any size business. We can work with small, mid-sized, and large businesses. Open access plans. This is just a real winner with some of your employees. No restrictions. Your employees can go wherever they choose for medical services. Big savings. Preferred vendor selection. This provides cost savings that we can pass back to you through our healthcare plan. Memberfy collaborates directly with brokers and agents to market and sell the Memberfy health insurance plan. Memberfy works with brokers and agents that are tied in with NUCA. If your company does not currently have a broker to work with, no problem. We can assign one where we will introduce them and collaborate closely with you to understand your needs and get the process started. Having brokers work with Memberfy is an effortless process. We connect with the broker of choice to gather the required information that allows us to provide a quote to the company for healthcare coverage. What's the cost? Being a NUCA member, you have access to many free value-added benefits through the client portal. If you haven't checked it out recently, check out NUCAAdvantage.com. Memberfy plan options offer employers alternative solutions to lower healthcare costs for their company while providing excellence in healthcare benefits. Some of the no-cost services are listed here. These include HR materials, compliance, and regulatory tools, and more. Now I'm going to turn it over to Tyler to talk more about the benefits within the portal.
Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tyler Baltz, a member benefits consultant with MemberFi, and today I'm going to be briefly going over and reviewing and demonstrating a few of the features of the new NUCA Advantage HR member portal.
One second, Tyler. As usual, it's giving me a little bit of a stubborn.
Not a problem.
Yeah, for those who are interested,
There we go.
do you have it now?
Perfect.
Marvelous.
Thank you, Bob. All right, so just to give you an idea of what this new NUCA Advantage HR member portal is, it is actually going to be one available to every single member of NUCA, and we're also going to make it available for a free 30-day trial period to every prospective member that you may want to reach out to. Because remember, NUCA right now has a membership plus one, meaning we want our members to be actively recruiting potential new members as well. So when you're talking with with a good prospect, you can actually introduce them to this NUCA Advantage portal as a good demonstration of the value add of the association itself, amongst other things. Before I begin and dive into the demonstration, I do want to explain a little bit about what this portal is and why we hold this as gold. So this company is powered by a software company called Zywave. Zywave itself is actually an HR compliance company that is staffed by HR professionals, HR paralegals, and HR attorneys. And along with their actual software developers, they are actually going to come up with a whole host of content that you can research, study, and maybe even print out and hand out to your employees, or just maintain for yourself, as well as a whole host of apps and tools that I'm going to demonstrate in a moment. It is important to note that this system is constantly updating. So anytime there's a change in any kind of regulation, whether it's the ACA, whether it is DOL, maybe it's something relating to OSHA, maybe it's something related to your new state's minimum wage or drug testing mandates. Once there's been a new regulation that has been passed, it takes about 24 to 48 hours for NUCA to actually, or for the Zywave system to actually release researchable content that you can download and study, and they will also notify you of any change as well to keep you as up to date and current as you need to be relating to your field. That being said, I give it about a 24 to 48 hour window. However, big things on the horizon, for example, when there was the Pfizer COVID vaccine currently being approved by the FDA. I remember this one personally. It was a Monday afternoon around 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. At 12:35, it was officially announced that the COVID vaccine shot from Pfizer was approved by the FDA. At 12:36, I received an email from Zywave basically explaining exactly what that would mean for every person, as well as potential changes for new regulations on the federal and state level as well. So to give you an idea of what this portal actually is, I want to demonstrate some of these features. And first, I'm going to actually start with the content library. Now, this content library is actually going to be your first stop when it comes to researching and answering questions that you may have in the HR field. Now, this is going to be useful regardless if you are running your own HR department. Maybe you only have 10 employees and you yourself are your HR department, or you have a dedicated staff. Everyone who works within this field, within HR, is going to want to have access to this portal because of these resources. So let's say you have an employee approach you and they want to put in their 2 weeks notice, or if you, let's say you have to involuntarily terminate an employee. Well, in order to have a checklist of what you can and cannot do, or maybe a procedure checklist for that termination, we can easily go to discipline and termination. So I would go here. Now this is going to provide you with just the first step. We can dig a little bit deeper into termination steps. And this is actually going to give us a downloadable checklist that we can actually use and check off to make sure we are doing everything correctly when we are terminating that employee. Maybe we need to make sure if this employee qualifies for COBRA, or what are your responsibilities as an employer for COBRA. I can actually click on the COBRA tab, and now I can understand a little bit more about what is necessary when it comes to your COBRA administration. And then lastly, maybe you want to check what you can and can't do with the final paycheck, or what your responsibilities are with that final paycheck. Under this tab, you'll see that the content will also provide you with a quick tutorial video explaining what you can and cannot do as an employer. And then they'll even break it apart into which state that your site is out of, or maybe that your specific branch that employee is being terminated out of is situated in. Because remember, each state can be separate. You can also go into the search bar above, and let's say you are interested in something along the lines of the new minimum wage. So I will just type into the search bar minimum wage, and we can actually look in our specific states. So for example, MemberFi is, we have an office here in Virginia. I'm actually going to take a look at our Virginia minimum wage laws because they are constantly changing. And now I have four different pieces of content that is available to me, including one video that I can watch and understand the new changes in Virginia's wage laws. I can also download this content either as a Microsoft Word document or a PDF. It is important to know that if you download any of this document or information from the content library itself, if you download it as a Word document, you can edit, you can change some of the words. Maybe you need to change one or two words to fit more of your specific needs for your company. But it is important to know you shouldn't change too much of the definition of or the sentence structure of some of the content itself. Because remember, a lot of this does come and is scrubbed and vetted by HR attorneys before it is released to you. So you don't want to change a whole lot and run into any sort of issues. Moving on from the content library, I'm going to move on to our HR apps. Now, the HR apps are going to be a series of tools that you will probably use either on a daily, weekly, monthly, or even annual basis. I will not go through each and every one of these. We will be releasing videos in the future for all members of NUCA that will actually go into greater detail of each of these tools, but I will demonstrate a few. The first being the total compensation statement builder. Let's say you have a valued employee approach you and say, hey, I was just offered by a competing company down the road an extra $1 or $2 more per hour, and I am considering taking that position. Can you counteroffer that, or can you help me understand why I'm not being paid that much? Well, to that employee, all they're seeing truly for their compensation of their time and labor is their wages. However, there's more in compensation than just wages. And you may want to explain that or demonstrate that to this employee. And you can do so with this tool. So for example, I have an example of a total compensation statement for e-employee. And after you've built out this tool, it's also going to build out a quick summary and welcome letter. So that way this employee understands what the purpose of this form is. And then we can actually break out how this employee is truly being compensated by your company. For example, this employee is being paid $35,000 per year. Now that's what the employee sees, and that's what they truly understand when it comes to compensation. However, we start to dive deeper underneath the actual compensation itself. We have insurance, your benefits, things that you may have to offer if you're over 50 employees, or that you may not have to offer but do anyway. You still, as a company, contribute towards that health insurance plan. That is compensation for that employee. So you can break out here how much you contribute towards that employee. Maybe you contribute towards their dental, their life insurance, their short and long-term disability. You break all of that out and you're going to get a new total for what you're actually compensating them for and their benefits. We move on to mandated benefits, workers' comp, Social Security. Maybe you match for a retirement program. If you have any kind of training, whether you do an annual training or a job required training, you can also include that in compensation as well if it is a company expense. And then we can even include things like PTO, because it is important for the employee to realize what kind of PTO package they have when they're comparing your company versus a competing company that they have a job offer from. And in total, we have the broken out summary. So this employee can actually see that while they are, yes, being paid a $35,000 salary, overall, you are actually compensating that employee $45,000 plus per year. And while that employee may be getting paid $1 more per hour, it is important for them to understand this and take a look at the summary and go, hey, I don't think I heard anything about a PTO package. I don't think I knew anything about the benefits. I don't even think they have a retirement program. And it's going to give them, pause to think and understand what it is that they're actually being offered and what they have to gain or lose by taking or denying a job offer outside of you. This is a great retainment tool. You can also use this as a recruitment tool as well in an initial job offer as well. We have a whole host of other apps as well. I will break down these in further demonstrations in more of an hour-long demonstration. So if you are interested in seeing how each and every one of these tools works, I suggest you go on to NUCAAdvantage.com and sign up for a portal demonstration. They're about an hour long. Moving on to compliance apps. These are important apps that every company needs to have to keep compliant with the ACA. So let's say you have a company, or you are a company with over 50 employees and you offer a health insurance plan. That means every year you're responsible for filing your Form 6055 and your Form 6056s. This is things like your Form 1094Cs, your 1095s, information like that. Or let's say you decide to join the MemberFi health plan for the NUCA Advantage program. If you take that health plan and offer that to your employees, you are also going to want to utilize this ACA reporting tool because you will be responsible for filing your Form 6056s. The multi-state law comparison tool is actually a really good tool to utilize. If you have multiple locations, let's say you were spread out throughout 2 or 3 different states, or even if you're only located in one state, but you want to compare employment laws with your state and the federal government, you can use this law to do your research. So again, I'm based out of Virginia. Now, I also want to double check with Big Brother. We have to make sure the federal government is happy with us. And then we have a whole host of employment laws that we can actually look at and research and compare. So here in Virginia, we're actually, we've just legalized recreational marijuana. So I'm going to want to understand what drug testing I'm allowed to do. Minimum wage is constantly changing. And let's check workers' comp because workers' comp is all over the place in each different state. Once I hit next, then we can actually build out the chart. This is just your personal preference. I like my states across the top. It's easier for me to read. And when I create the chart, it's going to open up a new tab. And now I can actually compare each of these different laws when it comes to federal law and state law, or in Virginia's case, Commonwealth law, because we have to be different. Now you'll see an actual summary broken out in each of these categories. However, if you want to dive deeper or do your own personal research or just see exactly where Xywave is getting this information from, you will see these blue hyperlinks that'll take you directly to the state or federal website. They're essentially citing their sources. You're going to be able to actually see exactly where Xywave is pulling this information from. And again, as regulations and laws change, within 24 to 48 hours, you're going to see this become up to date as well. You'll have to create a new chart because this is now a created chart and will not update by itself. But if you run through the multi-state law comparison tool again, you'll be okay. Your federal poster advisor, that's just your break room, that is just your break room poster advisor, things that every employee needs to have access to according to the DOL. And then we have the FMLA advisor. This is an excellent tool if you have over 50 employees and you have an employee approach you and say they are planning on taking or invoking their FMLA rights when they take a leave of absence. Moving on to notices, we have a health plan compliance calendar built into this system. I'm going to go ahead and recommend that every single person who signs up for this portal and actually logs into this portal, this is the first thing that you actually do. Set up your health plan compliance calendar. It's going to ask you questions about your company, the size, the location, the state, the actual plan that you're offering itself, and the renewal date. And with that information, it's going to build out your compliance calendar with alerts of when you need to file certain forms, maybe your 5500s, maybe your 6056s or 6055s, when you need to have your 1094s released, when you need to notify your employees of open enrollment, when you need to actually have all of your compliance notices sent out for open enrollment itself. and maybe even something as mundane as your Medicare Part T compliance form. So that health plan compliance calendar itself is actually going to keep you in check and keep you on task and alert you as the year goes on for any updates that you need to post. Now, the compliance notice builder itself actually ties in with the health plan compliance calendar. So again, every notice that you have to give out during open enrollment, you can build it out right there. And last but not least is the COBRA notice generator. The COBRA notice generator may be the dustiest tool in the tool belt if you end up signing with the NUCA Advantage health plan through MemberFi, because we actually will utilize our own TPA for your COBRA services. Now, if you don't use the health plan or you want to do everything in-house when it comes to your COBRA, then you absolutely have access to a free COBRA tool. Moving on to the LMS. LMS stands for Learning Management System. So we are constantly trying to make sure we educate and update and inform our employees as much as possible. We want them to understand that they have value, and we also want to make sure that we are offering our employees information that can sometimes protect us as well as employers. So with this LMS system, this is actually a system that will be somewhat separated from the actual client portal itself. However, you will get the same invite, and it's run by the same system, Zywave. So as an administrator, you will have access to this screen, but also every single one of your employees will also have access to their own LMS system through Zywave. You can add them through your Manage Employees, and when you manage your employees, you can add them either in an Excel spreadsheet or one at a time. All you will need is their names, their job titles, their email addresses. Everyone will have to have an email address. And you're also going to want to put them into what we call groups or classes, or however you might separate out your employees. For example, we have courses in this LMS system that are specific to managers only. So you don't want just to have a common laborer or machine operator taking a manager's course. You will want your managers, your office staff, and your foremen taking management courses. But you might have, for example, all employees. If you want all of your employees to take a sexual harassment prevention course, you will assign all employees that course. So you'll want to actually have a group called All Employees. And to give you an idea of the course catalog itself, we have a whole host of different categories that we can choose from. For example, Manager Success. And under Manager Success, we have 7 different courses that we can take. Now, Zywave is actively putting more courses out, and we are seeing very good progress being taken as far as improving the courses, as far as the number of courses that will be available. Now, some of these courses are available in English and Spanish, which is important. You'll also see things like transportation safety. You'll also see things like OSHA compliance, very important in our field. Now, your employees, when they sign up for these courses, when they take these courses, they will take a 25 to 30-minute long course. They're giving a pass-fail quiz at the end, and when they pass, they're given a certificate of completion. Basically, they're good star. You'll also be able to run a report to run and see who has taken their courses, who has passed, and who has failed. And lastly, as an administrator, you can also take your training through this portal as well. Because remember, if you're assigning your employees something, you need to take it yourself. There's also an employee handbook builder. So every company needs to have an employee handbook, and it needs to be updated every single year. Well, that can be a task for some companies. Not anymore with the actual handbook building tool itself. With this tool, you can actually build out your employee handbook. It's fill in the blank. It's very simple, very easy to use. And by the time you're done, each employee handbook that you build out will be saved under your actual list here. You can print this out in English for free. And if you need to request a Spanish translation, you can. There is a minor charge, though, for any Spanish translations. Next, we have the OSHA Log. So in talking with a lot of members of NUCA, it seems like we have a lot of people just handwriting out their OSHA or their incident reports. So we wanted to offer through the Xywave system an actual online OSHA log. Through this log, you can actually record an incident. You can also ask an incident advisor. Maybe you have a question about what information you need to actually put into the incident report itself. Maybe you need to double check if something is actually an incident truly, or maybe not. Or maybe you just have certain questions about who all needs to be involved in this actual report. This will actually put you in touch with an OSHA specialist, and they will be able to answer any questions that you may have. Once you've recorded an incident, I have an example incident down here for Joe Schmuckatelli. I can actually go out and print my Form 300, my 300A, or my 301. And to give you an idea, I've actually created a Form 300 for Joe. And it, as you can see, it is everything that you will need for your actual OSHA log. You can also generate an Excel spreadsheet report, and you can also do an incident analysis as well for it, specifically within a year, maybe a job itself, or maybe just within a certain division. Last but not least, we also have the HR hotline. This is going to be your direct connection to Xywave itself. It's HR professionals and paralegals and attorney team. Maybe you have a question that you couldn't find the answer to in your content library. Or maybe you have a very specific situation and you're just not entirely sure. You want to have a complete and honest answer to know what you can and cannot do, or how you should next handle the situation. You can actually contact them directly, either through this message box. You can call them on this 1-800 number, or if you just want to send them an email, they have their link to their email here below. It usually takes about 24 business hours for them to get back to you, but when they do get back to you, they're not only going to answer their question, but they're also going to provide you with the research that they've done. And if they have any content related to that subject or that question that you've asked, they'll also link that as well. And with that, I appreciate everybody's time. And Bob, I will pass it back to you.
Thank you, Tyler, for that very informative presentation. I know I'm going to be signing up for your compliance alerts. That's a very important thing for me to get out to the rest of the membership. Let's now open the webinar to questions. You can use the chat feature to submit a question, and I'll read the question to the presenter. Or if you prefer, unmute yourself, state your name and company, and ask the question directly. Remember to remute yourself after you finish. And we have one question right now, Tyler. How long does the initial setup take on the portal?
The initial setup will take about 24 hours. All we need to get everything set up is your company's information, basically the name of your company, your address, your first and last name, your role or job title within the company, and your email address.
Thank you. Next question is going to be, how many employees can we have on the portal?
You can have as many employees as you want to on the portal. Again, we would just need to know their specific names, naturally, first and last names, their job titles, and their emails. But you can have as many administrators with the NUCA portal as you need.
And if anyone else has some questions to submit, please submit them in the chat feature, or you can certainly unmute yourself, state your question, and we'll continue. Let's got one last one, I think. How would someone get a quote from you?
Bob, this is Teresa. I will take that. It's easy to get a quote from us. On the last slide that we're showing, we've got tdixon@memberfi.com. Feel free to email me with some company information and we can get that started, or give us a call, 844-636-2739. We look forward to taking care of you and showing you all the plan options we have available.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. I guess let's go ahead and wrap this up. We're half an hour in. Teresa and Tyler, thank you very much for your time today to present this information to our guests. Today's webinar was recorded, and a copy of the recording will be provided to all registrants and attendees. A recording of this webinar will also be made available on the NUCA.com website and our YouTube channel over the next few days. And thank you for your time today to join us for Webinar Wednesday and supporting NUCA. Our next webinar Wednesday will be held on December 8th, sponsored by another invaluable NUCA national partner. We couldn't provide our depth of member services without the help of each of our supporting national partners. Thank you for your time this afternoon, and please enjoy the rest of your week.